Today, Rinpoche continued his explanation of the 6 types of suffering with a focus on the last 4, the fault of repeatedly casting off bodies, the fault of repeated rebirth, the fault of descending from the high to the low, and the fault of having no companions. Yes.
Tangazo de True Sambaton played my best. True Sambaton. Well, True Sambaton talk, never maybe never the Nimarba, never maybe never the Nije. Chivashimal, the Jatania, the Pamadan Nabayoma, Gigi. Cindelia, Jatania, the Pamadan Nabayoma. Never maybe never the Nimudua. Tamuba maybe never the J, Baji. What the Jit Saro, Muba maybe nearby, Muba maybe nearby. That's Muba the Marbe.
Low mambo.
The
Shit.
Louis on the other.
Yeah. Louis Yang. Then Jibba, Jewa Yang.
Yeah.
Ni cha ni shu chi. Bless her. Shaving eba, Rere Jatsin.
Oh, Jetat. Yan is not you, Yeba. Yan is not you, Yeba to the Sunshi, one more. Yan is not you, Yeba to la. Yan is not you, Yeba to la. Larry Chimijan and the law. Nijan, you should charge it. Nishan, you should charge it. Think what Martini, change some bottle do. Or Uncle Temple do. Yan is not you, Yeba to la Sun. The Kungoba, Triple Rigaba, what then the Juan Julos of the Sajisondo.
The Kanga is seeking Shime Tambo Gare.
Yan is not you, never the Marbe, Yan is not you. Never maybe never the Lani, Moba maybe never the J, the Tachi. Yan is not you, never the La, to send Sundo.
Then they soon?
Yes, you never the Lani, Sonje, Kunga was the Rota, Kunga Bata, and Jeba, Shubak do Ngai Mati Mane, Chip, never can do the grace, or to do the grace roa, or to Kunga Bat Marbe, Kunga Batche, and Hamana, what they Chubaji, what the Lota Rebi Gapas, Hajanije, Sumba de Takata, soon on Tom to the Marbe.
Some Gary?
Yeah, Nisan Neba. Yan is never the Sonje, Tom Kungoba. Kungoba, what in La Richabo to Kuzoten Wudua. My Tota, Jashu, and Seguzan, the Lujan, Sai, Lamrim was what the Kungoba the Redua. Yan is not you in abundance what did Chijima to Mudua.
Oh, yeah, didn't caviar.
Yan is not you in your person to it. You should charge a good Martini Battle.
Gula, okay.
Yan is
Yin Sam, okay.
Yan is not you in your bane. My Tota, Jashu, Segutan, Luljan, Sai Lamrim
Jursheba, the shaking.
Kungoba, Shinty. Shitty in the Menagumar.
The NGK.
Yeah.
Kongupa. The Rugo Mambo. de donda Kongoba.
Takata ngai ma de masana tanda de sag chu zubina jeba ngel ka zuru gres mal jangha mas mai jamba ina sa chu ne jeba ina sangel du gres ma duayo mares jangha me bares what the kungo bad marba.
Okay.
Then
a nipa longdang the Kangala. Okay, so once again we're looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, and specifically the section that deals with the actual meditation on suffering. When we look at that category, the actual meditation on suffering, there are two categories. Reflection on the general or universal sufferings of cyclic existence, and then reflection on the specific sufferings of cyclic existence. That first category, reflection on the universal or general sufferings of cyclic existence, has three categories. There's the reflection on the 8 types of suffering, reflection on the 6 types of suffering, and reflection on the 3 types of suffering. So we've already gone over reflection on the 8 types of suffering, and now we've arrived at reflection on the 6 types of suffering. So reflection on the 6 types of suffering, we began with the various, we find the various faults that are listed. So the first one, the fault of uncertainty, when we look at the commentary, we find that Jayan Sheba's commentary, we find that there are 2 categories. First, the category of the uncertainty of the relationships in this life. So we look at our friends, enemies, and neutrals and see that there's no certainty about the way those relationships will be. And then reflection on the uncertainty of those relationships in our next life, seeing that our father could become our mother, and our mother our wife, and so forth. So we see that those relationships aren't stable, they are uncertain in our future lives. So this category has 2. And then the second category, which we've already gone over, the fault of insatiability, we found that there were 8 categories that Jayan Sheba presented. So we've gone through that. And then number 3, the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly, we find then 3 categories presented. The first category is the countless number of bodies that we have discarded. So it's saying that if we were to try to count the number of these, we wouldn't be able to. So there's just a beginningless bodies that we've discarded. There's no way to count those bodies. So this is the first category. And then the second category, we get into a scriptural assertion, and then the proof or reason. And then the third category, I just will get when we get to it. Okay, Jigson Rinpoche.
What the Kungo ba do tere do? Tomu Kungo ba ne mai tuta jashu chendu tang relu dang sai lam jor she ba os what the Kungo ba te sarwa.
So we find the friendly letter stating each of us has left a pile of bones that would dwarf Mount Meru.
O je she ba what the Kungo ba che dan de Hamanas what the mai tangha what the Hamakaji and the Segus Hamanas Sinje Jiki Mashibi Tonla Joane 2 minutes Hamana Sinje Jiki Mashibi Tonla Sinje Jiki Nasu Mashibi Tonka de Sai of the genius Madonna what the Segus what the Maris Sinje Jiki Machi Sinje Jiki Mani Masu what the Nija was Kaji the Logundus da Sinje Jiki Mashibi Tonla Joane 2 minutes Tonda de Maris Tin de Bas Tanda de Shedding in Ondo in Odi in Deba do Tambal Deban do Tambal in Debal and do Janjirota Galunta Pana Chimugajiki Sachembu Dele Jashu Chenrezig Relushedes then Dagamau then Dag my mouse, my mouse, what in the dawn or the Tanghameba say, Sagan Dang Maris, she would do the Madu, Siji jigging I might genie, what in the Jan, the Maris, the Jeba, do Jambale, Glunta, Pena, Chibungajiki, Sachamutele, Jajuki, Tsendutanji, Rul did this, Sain Dambazune, then the Dagi Mau, then the Dagi Maimau, Maima, what the Lidana, what the Sagar Bugnang Barzun, the sensation that Tomo is.
Rinpoche, the Jepa Yomaribe.
Ah,
the NGK, the Jepa Yin. The Somba, the Sheda Chun Chun, the Sheching Long, then the Lamatsun Kappa, the Cheek. Then the Yan, Jewa Yan, the Jepa Gutsodu, NGK. Yan, the Ninsam, Joe, Niepa.
yeah, Nisan Jepa, so what
The Jepa.
what the Somba Maribe Somba.
Mai too.
Never maybe never the Le Jimba. Never maybe never the Ni, Moba maybe never the Jet Saji. Tayan is not doing about Somba the Maribe. Yan is not doing about the Son and a Kungoba, my tutor Jaju Relutan, Dungeon Sai Lamrim over the Kungoba J. Tandi Tandala, Hamana, Sentient Jiki, Mashibi Tranla Joane, Demete, Hamana what the Sai Malansa, and the Kungai Machi Manis, what is Dona, Sagalang Marshijandos.
Let's
The Dona Mares. My image Karasana, Te in Jabanto Tambales, Glonta Puna, Chibungajiki, Sachamodele, Jaju Tsendutanji, Reludete, Relutute, then Dark Mau, then a Dark My Mouse, my mas, what in the Donna, Tranhame Meshi between
Ma.
my Makaka, Nai Machi, Nai Manis, the Mares. Dagma, my mas, what the John out the Sang Dong Maris, what the sentient Tagama was that the Javures.
Yan, the Ninsam, the Jepa.
Yan is not you never the Son, Congo Bas,
Then the
Congo.
Jepa in.
Jiba the bear.
The Jepa, Yen.
I mean,
The Somba. The Somba, the Lung, Yan, the doorway Nyepa. Then Re, Dani, Jrupi. The Pombo Ne, Humbo Nyampa, Nye Chik De Jorde, Shesonde. Sentient Re, the Lulang, Nye doorway Rupa. Maguna Hlumbo Le Jang Mambao, the NGK Somba, Jepa Yan, the Ninsam, Joe Nyepa.
never maybe never the Nero, Tarwa.
Lesso.
Tanova maybe never the Jiro.
Lesso.
Never maybe Jabba Jet, never maybe J. Then never maybe never J.
Luyan Dang Yang, Luyan Dang Yandu.
Luyan, I don't do never the bear.
This Somba, then a Jepa Yandu Ninsam. The Gonga Mepachi Rinpoche.
Jiba the Riddle. Jiba J. Jasu Habas, Jasu Habo, the Moba maybe never Tanamarbe. No Meshibi Nebala, JJ. No Meshibi Nebala Jirwa. No Meshibi never Nebarendwa.
Lesso.
No Meshibi never Neba Marbe.
Lesso. Then a
No
Somba.
Meshibi never Neba Jit Sazadu.
Luyan
Somba de. Somba de. Yan Sanju never. Alla Luyan to do.
Luyan.
Yan do never the Jima to Mudua.
Chikona.
Chikuna.
Okay. Then a Jepa Som Yembe. Okay, Gonga Mepachi. Tuchena. Okay, so just to make a slight correction, I'll just go back through them real quickly. So we have the 6 different faults, 6 different types of suffering. So first we begin with the fault of uncertainty. We find 2 categories in Jayan Sheva's commentary: the uncertainty of the relationships of this life, and then the uncertainty of the relationships of future lives. And then the second category, the fault of insatiability, we find 8 different categories. The third category, the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly, there is just the one category that's presented in the Lamrim Chenmo. The wording's very similar. So there's only one category here, and it just reads through as the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly. The friendly letter, so letter to a friend, Nagarjuna, each of us has left a pile of bones that would dwarf Mount Meru. For each living being, if the bones discarded upon taking up new bodies did not disappear, they would tower over even Mount Meru. So this is just one category. And then when we get to the fourth, we do find 3 categories there. And the fourth is the fault of repeated rebirth. And then the first is, if you looked for the limit of mothers by counting with earth in pellets, the size of juniper berries, the earth would not suffice. So this is that there are countless number of bodies that we've had in these repeated rebirths. So we've had, not bodies, meaning just bases that we've had in these repeated rebirths. And if we were to try to use these pellets the size of juniper berries to count the number of rebirths that we've had, that the number of those would fill the earth. It would be more than the earth. So it says from the Nagarjuna's friendly letter again, if you looked for the limit of beings by counting with earth and pellets the size of juniper berries, the earth would not suffice. Then ngātsu yāngir de dāng.
ngāpa mimi nyeba tala nyi je, ngōpa mimi nyeba tala je je. Tā sōngpa te lū yāng nā yāng tōng lū nyeba tala wā. Sōngpa wā te jī re duwa. Lū yāng nā lū nyeba nā sa. Rāng rī dāni rūpi pōngu si. Rāni rūpi pōngu ngā tsū shi nā rūpa te tō ngā lō mēba chā mē nā. Lhāpa nyaba jīne jī dē jū te shē sōng te si. Sēnjē rē rī lū lāng nā ndū yu rūpa mā gu nā. Lhāpa lē jāng mā wā wō si. Wā tā lū yāng nā yāng tōng lū nyeba tērī mā tērī. Wā tērī tī shā.
So we're going to go back to number 3 just to look at that one category. The fault of casting off bodies repeatedly. From Nagarjuna's friendly letter, each of us has left a pile of bones that would dwarf Mount Meru. So if the bones from our beginningless rebirths were still around, and we were able to pile them on top of each other, they would be higher than the Mount Meru, the great Mount Meru. So if they were still here, they would pile that high. So it says, for each living being, if the bones discarded upon taking up new bodies did not disappear, they would tower over even Mount Meru. So that's number 3. And again, Jayan Sheva has just that one category, which is the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly.
Yézhāng jū nyeba zhō jiba rība. Yāng nā yāng jū yézhāng jū nyeba tila sōng. Khōng gō ba jē. Hāma gā lōng rī nī jī gā ba. Nē jū lō sō sā jī sōng jī gā ba. Sōng bā jū lō dō nē kā sēr nā? Wō dō. Jū lā jū wān jū jūn jū lō sī. Ngā yōng sāng bā jī jūn jū lō. Wō lō mā lē gā dō wā. Tā rī shīn dō shān jī gā dē. Yāng yézhāng jū nyeba nē. Māi tōtā jāshū tsirū tāng nē rē lū jāng jāng sāi lāmi chū tē khōng gō bā chē. Tāndē nī bā tērwa nī bā hāma gā ndō bā tē lōng rī nī chī gā bā sē. Hāma nā sē chē jī kī mā shē bī jāng lā shū wā nī tō mē tēs. Hāma tsū kāng wā tē māi tē bā jāshū rē lū jāng rē lū tē nī sā lāng gā mā rā sē yā tē. Ngāi māchī māñī sā wātē sīchē jī ngāi māchī bāchī nī sōng tē wātē nī chāng gu rā sā na sā gā dōs wātē tuyāndā mā rē sā tuyāndā tā kā rā sā na dā ngā mā nā sīchē jī kī māchī bā chāng lā shū wā nī tuyān mī tē sā tē yīn tē bā tāndā dō yīn nā tē jū yīn nā tē yīn tē bā yīn jir wā dō chāng bā lē Galunta Puna Chebungaji Sachem Dele Jashu Segutanji Relushede then Dag Mao then Dag my mouse my mouse or the Donna Sayanga Marship Madu Nai Machi Shiver Ni Shiver on the Hotel Mariseta.
Lessa.
The Guzman.
Then the Kongupa, the Longdang Ripa.
Kungaba Tsaro, Taniba Lori Gaba the Rota.
The Loring Gapa, the Kabagutso.
Lori Gavan, the Hamanas at the Lori Gavan, the Hamanas.
The Hama, okay. So
Hamanas at the Azupashan Kajinar Sajmudi.
Lessa.
What the Leonguta.
Okay.
The Hamana, Seje Jiki, Mashibi, Talajo and Temide, Hamana, and then I Machi. And see, I Machi Shiva, Ni Shiva, soon wrote the Donna, Simon Shiv, the second dose, to what the Pashati to the Maris, the Terminates, the Jabba, do you know the Jabba Vales, Jabba Lindo Chitan,
Sheching Delpa,
Galunta, Puna, Chimungajiki, Sachemundele, Jashu Sendutanji, Rulutote, then Dag Mao, then Dag my what the Donna, Simon between what is that? Dag my Mao she, Doa Shena, Galunta, Sachamundi, Jimbane, Chikawa, Zebra Juji, Menaje, Manan Teta Mainos. Shiragi Mane Ti Malasuba Maremba Rembaji to Juba Tembatai Shedanza Tepici Ribidruba Temendosa, Kazanazo Ribidruba Ulijado, Ribidruba Dins at Zamate.
The door long sar, then a Ribidruba.
The Ribidruba Debatje.
Okay.
Then a lonely John. My tota Shezombe Rote Long Drum.
Lessa.
Rebi Druba, Tamatag, Drubaje, Oma the Long Druba.
Then a Jeja, Chishin, the Jew, Nejong, Jew. Good so do it.
I'll tell that no Jim will.
Okay, so this first category, we find the friendly letter. If you looked for a limit of mothers by counting with earth and pellets the size of juniper berries, the earth would not suffice. So we find this this limitless amount of births that we've taken. And so this is that first category. I want to really look into a dictionary for the specific name of this category because it came up before. And I possibly mistranslated it based on the meaning of it this time. So I just want to double check what it is. But this first category is held completely by Nagarjuna's quote. And then Rinpoche said that if you were to take the earth and pellets, you wouldn't be able to, and fill the whole earth, you wouldn't be able to count your mothers. So this is number one. The second category deals with scriptural assertion and then proof by reason. So the first category and the second category, it goes in order. So we'll begin with the first category where it says, earlier scholars took this to mean that each pellet represents a living being who has been your mother, but this is incorrect. The Clear Words explanation of the friendly letter cites a sutra which indicates that it refers to the line of matrilineal predecessors from one's own mother to her mother and so forth. So this means that it is specific to your previous mother, previous mother, previous mother, previous mother, and as far as I said that wrong. Your mother's 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 mother's. So instead of meaning your mothers that you've had. So this is talking about the actual ancestral lineage as opposed to your mothers, as it seemed to read. It says this meant. Earlier scholars took this to mean that each pellet represents a living being who has been your mother, but this is incorrect. And then the commentary on Nagarjuna's clear letter to a friend quotes a sutra and says that it refers to the line of matrilineal predecessors from one's own mother to her mother and so forth. So your mother, your grandmother, great-grandmother, etc. So this is what it means. And if you were to try to count those with earth and berries, and it would be more than the earth itself. So then we'll have the actual quote from the scripture here. For example, O monks, if someone took from this vast earth pellets the size of juniper berries and set them aside, saying, "This is my mother and this is my mother's mother," then monks, the clay of this vast earth would be exhausted, yet the line of matrilineal predecessors would not. So here we have the quote from Scripture, and then we have a proof by reason. Again, the reading of those former scholars is wrong because Nagarjuna's text says the limit of mothers. So this is the reasoning Lama Tsongkhapa sets forth. So this satisfies Jayan Sheba's second category of scriptural proof and proof by reason. Dikson.
O dag mai matla ngasung yejire dendu yejire khol wote tangame ba wo den san ta ba ina an nganyu samba je jushi go jiru
less of somba
san ta ba ina nganyu samba ji jushi gre so to somba dire
less of. So the third category is that it causes you to be disenchanted. So by thinking about your the jewa ngama nyesondang
ta ji ngama ti ngama ngaso yore dendu yore tangame baro ta
yene de
wo den san ta na
less of.
ane wote ane calling ban jueng no samba je junjo do go jiru ta
The Rinpoche nge triwa yure the nge ami ama tsalodang nge jewa ngama
ami ama de nge so yojire me yojire la yojire tangame baro ta de san ta ba ina ane wote ni je na wote nganju samba ji jure ngore namas nganju samba ji jul ngore
Rinpoche nge ami ama the dakpar the meyimba yomarebe
me cheg maro ta nge so ta te
Kandre, nge ami ama
kangalo de me is lo tu maro ta ami ama sana an kashi nge so ma yojire kashi me yojire kashi la yojire wo de san ta ba ina an nganju samba ji jure ngore
Lesso. Lesso, this will do. So it causes you to become just disenchanted. So if we think that about our mother's mother and our mother's mother's mother, etc., and then we think of that taking place in a cycle in the lower realms of rebirth and the higher realms of rebirth. So if we look at our lower realm rebirths and we do that, and then we look at our higher realm rebirths and we do that, when we're just looking at one being and we're doing the mother's 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 mother, we can see can't count that by the example, and then when we meditate and think about that in all of the realms, the higher and lower realms, this causes us to develop a desire to definitely emerge. It causes us to become disenchanted. So that gets into number 3, causes you to be disenchanted. And then we get into Lama Tsongkhapa's point, and then the 400 stanzas by Aryadeva Loma Song.
Ta ti dreba sheba ne ane tene kasa mala subi mai rimba jin do juden ba thang ise wo de ba do tang da gu ba rebe du ba yun le chang mai to da she song be she long gu ba men long gu ba ja ji be de long da rebe ni gu gu do se je mi
Dene. So the first
that 사진이 살로다
Lesso.
다데 송바들 송바
Lesso.
the joaju junjulunes the joaju junjulunes mai mata mai manga sudo what the sun mo tamba ina and the calling about you ngaju samba call ju ngaju samba ji junjulu
Lesso.
kanes jogere sanando the joaju junjulunes jabale
Lesso.
ta jab longdang ma
Lesso.
Khensur Rinpoche ki yang Tumi June Hami Las Khensur ji ki Jula yang 토마자투 마레스 지기조 저 가마티가마스나 토마메 바로아 토미조네 나메라스 간다 지기 제월레 토마요 마레스 토마자투 마레스 토마 나메라스 테시치라야 제버 토네 간라 지면종사 간자 지기 제월라야 와테타비 테네 저 가마서 토마메바 제바데 토바이나 안 코알레 네 신나랑을 지바치그르스 지바치네메지데 지그레스 나중 사바치네메지데 나중 사바치용그레스 톤네야 들라 지메종사 지바치데 메조든 종그레스 나중 사바치데 메조데 나 어떤 산다나 나중 사바가 바도 용그레스
맞아요.
세송 바탕서 어때래 어때 지지 어때 얼로 단다 올음 사고무도와
Dao drop it long yare.
어때 제자빈 제바 어때 제바도 어때 제자빈 제바 제자빈 제바
Tambo.
제자빈 제바를 받은 다와 잡인 제바 주요 다 받은 다와 잡이 제자빈 제바 어때 변데 나 시비요 시보 어떤 하망에 어때 루뇨 어때 받은 다와 잡이 제자빈 제바 보두진도 보두지 어때 시부시라도 어디 제자빈 제바 장와인 제자 받은 다유 제자빈 제바 제바야 데네 윤바기 말랑기 제바 말랑기 산신기 치조아 가유 루금바 첨불라 따도 조아당 다다 제수 튜비 추진지 나바 공바리소사 안에 시송바따라 시바샤오스 와타바도 송바레도 송바.
Okay. So number 3 again, that causes you to be disenchanted. You should understand how this causes you to be disenchanted as follows. So then we find a quote from Aryadeva's 400 verses. It says, "You cannot see the initial cause of even a single effect. Seeing how vast the causes of even one effect are, who would not be frightened?" So when we look at the result of just this life, our present basis, and we look at our previous life, and we can't find an initial cause of our basis that we currently abide in. So we can see how many causes there are just to make this one effect. And when we start to meditate on this beginningless cycle that we've been in the higher realms, the lower realms, and so forth, then this causes us, it says, who would not be frightened? Who would not want to emerge from it? Who would not, so this is speaking of renunciation. So that's the quote from the 400 verses. And then we find, it says, Chandrakirti's commentary on this says, so Chandrakirti has a commentary on Aryadeva's 400 verses that is very, very clear. Rinpoche said he read it before, and it's very clearly written. Almost before he said like a Tibetan commentary. It's very clearly presented. So it's still, we're in point number 3. It says Chandrakirti's commentary on this says the Dawadrapa Becha Buddhu J, the
Dawadrapa what is Jebin Jebat Puji one book.
Yeah, lesser.
What the Kangarso got lots of June do lots of Chiva injury, lots of Kashi June do Sebo Kodaban June, Kashi Judu Kokabo, but the lots of June Chiva injury.
Lesser. So this particular commentary by Chandrakirti, this book, is very, very clear. And I think it's because the different translators that bring it into the Tibetan, some of them make the text very difficult to understand the way they write, and others make it very clear the way that they present it. So I think that the translators of these texts must be different when we see cases where it's written very clearly and easy to read, and then the same authors is so difficult to read and put together. So it's really the translator that's making that. So anyway, this particular commentary is one of those that's very clear and easy to understand. And it says, it is right to cultivate a constant sense of disenchantment and a corresponding mode of conduct in the face of this vast wilderness, cyclic existence, where movement is difficult on account of the dense forest of ignorance whose reaches cannot be measured. Dixon. Go. So number 5, the fault of repeatedly descending from high to low. There are 9 categories in Jayan Shepa's commentary for this one. Then Kabaka Jashin Jikden Chu Ujune
Jashin Jiden Chu Watangu Tanere Gugno Tomba Tanere Jashin Jiden Chu Junene Legion Waki Shan Satin Rons Taiwan Jashin Tene Chubi Laiko Taiwan Jashin Taiwan Yindule Latu Chuban Bisa Yu Latu Chuban Bisa Yu Conjusa Kambatu Galo and Noble Shabatan Jirota. Junene led Seu de Yajat and the San Nyota Yadat and Rachine, what the Legion Waki, Shean, Satin Rons, Jajin to what the tomato Joa, GJ, Kulujua, Nito, June Jans, that Kuluju Jabo, Se Kulujua. Nun Kulujua, Sound Kulujua, Ja Kulujua, Kulujua, Segu Sanja Kulujins, Segu Kuluju Jabatake, Linjilon Jutures, Shalivali, Lonzamli, no balance, Shandamani Jilla, on Jutugantle, and the Sage Kuluju Jabo. Mu Kulujua, the Lins won't want you to res, then Sanga Kulujua, the Linimento. Jab Kulujua, the Linjil, want you to res. No Kuluju Jabo, what the Nevacho Kuluju Jabo,
Ser Kuluju Jelpo,
Say Kuluju Jabo, the Linjil want you to Linjil, say Moon Sanja Colleges, say Moon Sanja Colleges, say Collegian, the Linjil want you, Kuluju Jabo,
Ling the Sacha.
Say Moon Sanja Collegian, what the Kuluju Jabo made of me.
Lesser.
Say Collegian, Linjil want you. Jack Moon Collegian, Linjil want you.
Some.
Some Collegian Linjil want you. Jack Collegian Linjil want you. What the
Sang Dang Jack Katsudwe. Sang.
Say Moon Sanja Collegians. Don't say Moon, never Moon, Somba Sande, Shibaja, I am.
Then the
Say Collegian Linjil want you.
Musum.
No Collegian Linjil want you. Some Collegian Linjil want you. Jack Collegian Linjil want you.
Okay.
What the Jul, what the say,
okay. So the first category is the falling from the high to low. And we have it goes through Nagarjuna's quote in categories. The quote. So having become Indra, worthy of the world's honor, you will still fall once again to the earth because of the force of past karma. Having become a universal monarch, you will once again become a slave for other beings in cyclic existence. So no matter what level you have achieved, whether you're a monarch of a golden king, a monarch of the 4 ling, like 4 areas or 4 places, or the silver of the 3, or the copper of the 2, or the iron of 1, you will necessarily fall. So because your previous karma will not hold you forever in that space, and you will fall to become once again a hell being, a hungry ghost being, animal, and human. So this is the meaning of number 1. And I just have to look into this 4 spaces, these universal monarchs of gold, silver, copper, and iron. So it's basically just meaning if you've achieved those very high levels of importance, and you have a basis which would be a basis that the world would make offerings to, that basis is unstable and you will fall to the lower realms, fall lower in the future eventually, because of past karma. Khensur Rinpoche, Tambuchi.
Ta nipa tenere. Nipa woten jaje bedel kwa desagadu. Nipa ripi dudu nyuan sa. Nipa ripi dudu ngatu jisine dawaje marba. Pomul du se riba ina ko dawan yojero ta.
Ripi sen.
Potom pomul ju ne rida je mar wote tel dawayo dro dawa. Wote ane Turebe me kebala ribe dawa yuri nyune har nyawa ne taju treyu chokurji ne riba shindu maze tense los wote nyeba ta tanu wote karna turebe me noma kebalas ribe dawa yuri nyune har ni taju tri chokurji riba shindu maze tense los wote nyeba tenga dos ta turebe pomo que noma te va dos riba ina devan yojero ta lai potan pomotan wote potan pomotan le korine ane mazamba shuya ta ribi deva yodro dova turebe mi nomas inde marbe noma ribi deva la yoni nyone lars wote te jebedle yaja te nyawa taju te chokurji shin riba shindu maze tense los nyawa le jene ne choncha la to suge zubu tuwa la subo wote ne jebed yongures riba shindu maze tense los wote niba tenga dusre ta.
So the second category is the pleasure, long experienced pleasures, and this is speaking of the pleasure between a man and a woman, the pleasures of people. So it says, though you have long experienced the pleasures of caressing the breasts and waists of divine women, you will once again encounter the unbearable sensations of grinding, cutting, and flesh-tearing hell devices. Even though at present time, if you are experiencing very long pleasures, and it says of caressing the breasts and waists of divine women. So as a god, man and woman enjoying sex, or as a humans, boy and girl enjoying sex, such as caressing of breasts and of the waist, even though you have experienced these pleasures, they will not last, because once again you will have to fall to the lower realms where these sensations and pleasures are not there, and experience the tortures of such realms, such a realm as the hell realm, where you are constantly cut. It says of the grinding, cutting, and flesh-tearing hell devices. So Rinpoche said the weapons that are used against you in the hell realms will be used on you again in the future, even if now you are experiencing this bliss of and this pleasure of that a man and woman have together in union. Diksum. Lasa.
Ta somba tene wote lenga dos ta kambe ribi dewa ane lai lomba to zulu wote kamba dewa wote nruba ina wote jibu yoro ta kambe ribi noba dezweba hembi pala 原来呢还有了吧，人家不知道是吧？就是原来不呢，还有妈妈人家就阿姨，就个些东西，呢，就个些东西，呢，普雷接触罗啥。我大概这人家不知道那么多，还有对吧？的那刚把我真的都不为那我的基本的学习了的。那很比不了，原来人家不知道，很比不了。
对，read不，Mount Meru。
很不是那人家不知道吧？很比不了，人家不知道了，是不是？是讲了，原来呢是。原来呢，我在对了，我说还有基本上来着了，刚把本身做的呢，还有慢慢人家就阿姨，呢，都爱么子，呢，普朗接触了啥，但还有我的都爱对吧？人家，你我参见妈妈们的人家那是。你我参见这个音乐的话呢，没给大把说的什么，刚把的农村的刚把城里啊，没差不，我等你接这个是的。
Number 3 deals with even though you've been. It says having frolicked in beautiful groves, so here this is saying that even if you have been in the God's place, God's land, and Rinpoche said there's a word here that is similar to the Mount Meru. So even if you've dwelt in a divine place, and it says, and enjoyed the embraces of divine women, you will arrive once again in the forest of hell where the leaves are swords that slice off ears, nose, hands, and legs. So in the various different hell realms, there is experiences where your limbs are chopped off or burned off and then come back and so forth. So there are these various torturous experiences that happen in the hell realms, and even if you're abiding in a God's land or a place of like a celestial place, you will again experience those tortures in the future. So that's number 3. Even if you're dwelling in that divine place.
Dungenes, Dungan de Tangadusata, Ture Bemin Dushin, Ture Bumidushin, Gawadan, Naban de Te, Sumbatin and Har, and Damare de Tene, Najine, Kala Nawa, Juba Tuban Joro, so what the Jiba to what they think of this Jiba. Tanga so what the Layu, what the put on Pomo to Sukangal Gabu or Gabo.
The river, the Chu.
Jiba the Roa Jibarova. Turi Pomondusins, and then put on Pomonyandu, Nyandu de Rota, Nyandu de Kuchiba Jurota, Turi Pomondusin, and the Gawa dance, Turi. Hai potan pomota, mei potan pomo, nyandu dine chibana juro da, gawa dan, rushin gawa dan, napan zetse, on kul hai potan pomo kan zebe juro, idon, zetse, sunba zenenes, ne sunba zeme hayan, lar, damare je, nase, ne jine, kanla nawa, Juba Tuban Jurosa. Hayan than what the Newal than the Redulumina said. Redulumina says what the Newatebal, what the Tibetan Shina Imbala, what the Bandu Dulu, what the Dama, Live Kangal was regiment. Sai on the combat now at the Kangaju regiment. What the Balchan the Reseta. Tori Pomen Dushin Gawa dance, Tori Pomen Dushin, Lai Potam Pomata, May Potam Pomo, what the Nyandula Dene Gabiorota. Naban Zete Somebody and what the Potam Tamase, Tin de Butele, Dama Redena Sel Chenegres, Redena Seji, Redena Seji, she Dabu Imbala, Dama to Redi Majimano. Anteballo do the ready to sound, Kambatuya, Lavatuya, Butuya, what the Dugenua Mando. Kala Nawa Joba Tuban Jorosa. What about the rest of that?
This the river, this the Sacha, the Jipa, the Sacha.
Jiba ye mo gay. Ne dudu nasa he mo dudu.
The Sacha Yiptumo, the
Tapata Nyadu de la Kurkanga Idon Euro. Chibuna Jumar, Chibu Nyadu de
bless her.
Nyadu de Patapomanyadu de Na, and the pension Zebu are Chibu Yorota.
Bless her.
Or Chibu, what then they did, what then they would the Regil Lumina Cell.
Okay. I mean, so, bless her.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4 is dealing with the relationships. So it says, though you have entered the gently flowing river with beautiful goddesses and golden lotuses, you will plunge once more in a hell into scalding water, the unbearable waters of impassable river. I'd have to really go through this directly. There seems to be some kind of a... there just seems to be something going on here between the Tibetan and the English in this specific stanza. This specific one, it says, if you have entered the gently flowing river with beautiful goddesses and golden lotuses, even though you've dwelt in a divine area or you've been as a human in a relationship, when a man and a woman have a relationship, they stay together. At that time, that there is a good feeling. They like each other. There is a sense of ease that's there. But even if you have that, in the future you will plunge into more into hell and scalding water, the unbearable waters of the impassable river. So this is saying that even if you're dwelling in that as a god or a human, and have that experience, have that relationship, in the future you will go to the lower realms, to the hell realms, 8 hot realms, 8 cold realms, and surrounding hells, etc. Rinpoche, okay, so we'll take a short break. Side.
Le zambal ne dawa yungure ngembal dunge yungure wati chut de mateng dusrta jajibe ngapa le jishu zange ji dunge ne sa le jishu shu le zambal dawa yungure ngembal dunge yungure dunge nyusu duwate den deng dusre teji boba sotan ma na teji Boba Hai Pomanes, Tej Boba Hai Pomane, Tunzi Seji, Ne Peden, Seji Pema Denjune, Hayani Chu Rameba, Sagu Zola Chusen, Joselosa. That Tej Boba Hai Pomota, Tej Boba Hai. Will Tebin religion then Hai Pomane and a Domba Shidagan Zebo. Seji Pematan Tempa, Seji Pematan Tempa Shune, Seji Pema Denju, Matu Pematan the Caldeuna. Denjun Lion, Ni Chura Mepa, Sagu Zola Chusen, Joselus, Chura Mimeta, Duna Shiwata, Chura Mimes. Niwa Tanying about Chusabadamendua. Tanimakamba to Sadu Unele and Butan Sana. What in the combat to Gachin Regimento. What the Belgian the Grace said.
Lesser.
Tejible Hai Pomana Dunzi, Seji Pema Dan Shune, Hayani, 추구라면 봐 사고 졸라 추sen 주세로스 추사부던 농소나 때는 뭐라면은 소저는 강바던 두고 요금 보내야지만로 추구 사부인지로 what ngabaresha
Ngapa. Okay. So I'm just going to go through these because I forgot to read one stanza which I think made a mistake, and just in case I'm going to go through it quickly with the order. So the first category is even no matter how high of a being you have become, you will fall to the lower. So this is the first category. Having become Indra, worthy of the world's honor, you will still fall once again to the earth because of the force of past karma. Even having become a universal monarch, you will once again become a slave for other beings in cyclic existence. The second category is the pleasures that a man and a woman have in such times as intercourse. Though you have long experienced the pleasures of caressing the breasts and waists of divine women, you will once again encounter the unbearable sensations of grinding, cutting, and flesh-tearing hell devices. Even though you've experienced this pleasure in the gods and the humans realm, you will in the future have yourself cut with the weapons of the hell realm. This is the one I skipped. Having dwelled long on the peak of Mount Meru, enjoyed the pleasant touch of a soft ground on your feet, imagine undergoing the unbearable pain of walking once again over hot coals and rotting corpses in hell. So even if you've been at the highest level of Mount Meru, you will then fall where it's very soft. The ground it's very soft and wonderful place. You will then in the future be in a hell realm where the ground is hot coals and so forth. So that's 3. Number 4 is having frolicked in beautiful groves and enjoyed the embraces of divine women, you will arrive once again in the forest of hell where the leaves are swords that slice off ears, nose, hands, and legs. So you're even if you've been in this beautiful grove in this pure God's land and you've had these women, these goddesses, even if you've had these experiences, you will go once again have to fall to the hell realms in the various forests of laser-sharp leaves and so forth, where your ears and nose and hands legs are cut off, where the leaves are like weapons. And then number 5 is where we are now. Number 5 is though you have entered the gently flowing river with beautiful goddesses and golden lotuses, you will plunge once more into the hell into scalding water, the unbearable waters of the unpassable river. So even if you are in this pure land, where there is this wonderful, this wonderful river with goddesses and golden lotuses all around you. So this very wonderful place with wonderful company, you will fall into the boiling waters of the hells in the future, where you are being bit by bugs that dwell in this hot boiling water while you're boiling. So you're being eaten while you're boiling. So this is what is meant by number 5. Okay, dig so nama that's true. Okay, not sa.
Druba de loan janji me the tagandu druba. Dudu nasu nyu dunges dawan damana mamunyu dunge tamana na damana mamunyu dunge din tagandu sirta dunge nes and Layu de Shindu Chenmo Dang, Layu de Shindu Chenmo Dang, Chani Chade Dwa, Tunan Har, Nama Mei Bishin, Jubai, Ne Dunga Jumicheba, Dance Laws, what the Juba Dang does. Layu de Halijene, and Layu de Bidwa Chiburo, Dwa, de Shindu Chenmo Dang, Chani Chade. 하이 엄부제 참발로 수가 이제로 찬이사 찬이 차데도와 투는 하스 단도발 차바라바던 트레네 는 하드발 진도와요로다 도와 투는 할 나메 메이 비신주바이스 니뇨 나멘 자노데 메디시네 메이 비신 차노거데스 메이 비신 주바이 도네 주미치바 텐슬로스
Less so. Okay, so number 6, having this is varieties of pleasures the number 6 is just the variety of pleasures. So having gained the great pleasures of a deity in the realm of desire or the detached happiness of Brahma, you will once again become fuel for the fires of the unrelenting hell, suffering pain without respite. So you, even if you have the varieties of pleasures, the varieties of happiness in any among these realms within cyclic existence, or the detached happiness of Brahma, so this the happiness that Brahma is able to dwell in, you will be like kindling for the fire, or what makes the fire burn, literally, in the future, when you're born in the hell of the unrelenting hell. So that's what is meant. You'll become like the fuel for the fire, or what makes the fire burn, even if you are experience any among the varieties of pleasures now. In the future, you'll be fuel for a fire.
That Dumba the Lord, this is Judge of me, the tongue to Dumba the
Lesson.
Dumba Asa Lusuji, you meji Dunganesa, you meji Dungan, what the and then Yamatan to solve you, had to lose you, Marbe. You do not go to one as you water. What they thank do that Nyamandawa ni to Ranluji, Yuji, Jiden Tada, Tanshetes, Nyamadan Dawa to Hype and Yamadan Dawa, and not to high so dull, not to Bashan Loro. High Yamata, Nyami Kazan, Hype and Dawatan, Dai Kazan, what the Jiden can chone, what the Paruji, what the Newal Masane, Casagore, Newal Generalisata, Nyamandawa, ni to Ranluji, Uegis, Nyamandawa to Uedege, Jiden Tada Tongorota, Jiden Tada Nanshete, Hayamena, and Mato, Shenjune. Rangi Laba Jamba Tomin Joroshe Sonsos. Tal Hai Padan Yamadan Dawal Jen Jideg Gantan Paruji, Tenma Nakutabal Jen, Susu Laba Gamba to the Matumba, what and Jenegres. Yaman Dawa, Nitu Ranluji, Uji Jiden Tada Tanshite, Hayang Mena. Mato Shenjune, Rangi Laba Jamba, Tomajuru, Shezonzo,
Dumba. So now we've arrived at number 7. Having been a deity of the sun or the moon, illuminating all the world with the light of your body, you will return once more to the dense, black darkness where you cannot even see even your own outstretched hand. So in the text we find that it states that there are deities who abide in the sun and in the moon, and these deities have cast off brilliant lights, and even if you are currently one of those deities who are illuminating the world, you will in the future be born into a place that's so dark, pitch black, that you can't see your hands, you can't see your feet, you can't see anything, even though it's right in front of you. So this is number 7. Rinpoche, the drup dunba, the nyawa, sacha, the kabiare, the nakon, kabiare.
Tanuadawal, the Yamadan Dawamas and Nakutabal Chenway, Chene, Sulabaton Gamba Matusa Tendel Chanway.
Bless her.
Saul Banatan, or the Nakun dedicated to Euro.
So I was asking Rinpoche if this is speaking specifically of a hell experience or what, and Rinpoche said that there's many examples of beings who wouldn't be able to even see that, beings who maybe live underneath the ground, for instance, in very dark places where they wouldn't be able to even see their hands or feet. So there are many examples of that. Number 7. Bless him. The winter kon ni
나
kogu.
트로비지에 워.
So I even have outside of my window. I believe it's a groundhog, correct? That is very fat, and he comes out and walks around. But he's, I think, gone to sleep, and now he'll go to sleep underground for like 6 months even or so. Maybe like this. And a bear is another animal that hibernates like this. So this is darkness. Now number 8.
차소나 요도사 타발라 소르 추구순 두부타 추구드는 소면도 소는 렘바타르 듄중스는 어때 양수 듄중르베 양수 녀와 산에 지금은 담배 양수 근데 녀바 듄중이나 듄중다 티나다 차나로 요아르스 어때 죽을라서 어때서는 어때 신전술 두고다 죽고 레지 죽고 되는 여지로다 타발라수비 타발라수비야 어떤 신전을 두고다 죽고 손에 렘바들 녀와 찬이가 듄중나로 요아래 티나로 요아래 차나로 요아래 차달라 요도스 어떻게 제바 된도사
네. Okay, so number 8 is speaking of where the cutting and the devices abide, the devices of cutting, grinding, and tearing flesh. So it says the 3 devices for cutting, grinding, cutting, and tearing flesh are those of the crushing black line and extremely hot hells, respectively. So these are where we find the grinding and the grinding, cutting, and tearing flesh.
다 고발해주는 말로 고발해와. 고발다와들의 고발이 해부두대 해부두도 공주스. 단다 고이노는 고발된 해부두도 공주 되지진 마송하더랜도와 해부두도 공주네스. 데다기 촌네스 해부두도 공주네네 된거스. 해부두도 공주네 해부두도 공주네 데다기 촌네서 안도 데다기 촌네 투산네 마산로 루 추탄지 탄지산네 추탄지산네 시발라 조아샤데 시비 편수 탄지지 타규발레 타규베 두비셔로스 고반 데다기 촌네 투산네 마산로와 달하다 멀체 야자 녀와드마체 예달체 돈들체 와든르도 와도스 대가 도스다 데다기 촌네 투산네 마산루 추탄지 산네 네 안늘 하다 멀체 야자 녀와다 예다 돈들체 와든 산도 모다네 코알레 내중 삼바체 우레스 시발레 조아샤데사 조아스가 요 삼바스고로
맞아.
시비 편수 탄지지 타 고비디비셔로 시비 편수 탄지지 타네 고비디고 타 어디 냐는 그래서 고비디비셔로스 어때바지다나는 어때 단다된 차금도 올라온다고도
Leso. Then they gopa. Then they.
그가 고바 공을했다
Then gopa the dudushe. The ninse.
고바 해부두두
Nyundudu. Okay.
다만도 고드마 두두진 소문도
Then they jepa the giant shape of mingare.
제바들의 타발라수부 주고서다 듄중다 테나다 손을 여서서
Leso.
어때 타발라수부 주고서나서 타발라수부 어때 듄중다 테나다 어또 차도 손나루래 세제도부터 타박당야 교야 어때도 주고드는 면도아 어때 녀 듄중다 테나다 차도 손 요아레스
Then they mambo yure.
Tabala subi chugusun ne rimbatar dunjung dance Nyawa Sanye Marbe, Tina Nyawa Sanye Roa, Sawason Yoaris, Cosijan Lubutayage, Sije Dag Tabatan, Juya Dawatan to True Jeroda, Legi Trugo. What the Jebates Motomodua?
Then the do rip the pomo.
I don't know what the
Then the do ripomo. Dromba. The Jepa Nala. Somna Yundo. Then the
Yos Turibaman Rubane, Haibame Tambos,
the Mamma.
What did the Dama the Kun Redua?
Jepa.
Turibaman Ruba de Haibame Tambas, Turibaman Ruba said that on the Haibama Trubujine, they are ordinary Wajero. The Metambo. How you do this, Shebane? How you do this, Shebane? Sonju Tazun and Chichi,
That's a
Dola was, Sonju Tazun, how you do this? Jachin Rigiro, Jachin Rigi, Sonju Tazun, Tade Trigger, Gentry Wanges, Marba. How you do this, Sonju Tazun and Chili Vermatu, Jachin Rigil man, your mother's in better. Ruban life Metambo. Hayin deba, Hayin de Shebane, Sonju Tazun and Chichi, Dolaos, Sonju Tazun, Jachin Rigi, Sonju Tazun, Tade Trigger, Garden, Trigger, Gentry Wangi, Garden Slagomarbe. What the this at the Sonju Tazun and Shilimatu, Jachin Rigi to Memra. Geshe Lharampa in the Manzian, Tenderedina. The Sonju Zazun and Childress. Sonju Zazun de Nakatan Rija Rokan Luare Secreta. Jujina, and Rija Cheribazum Modula. Sonju Zazun to Rija Rokan and Nakalios Pana. Jachin Riji the Rejeki the Valiores. Takantengazo. Redan Shindan Sutukangal Mima Tomato, Layo Samarella, Redan Shinadan, Chudan, Chulatan, Shinlatan, what the Chudan Satan to Sukangal, Layo Zarola.
The Jashin Riji.
Jashin Riji to Recountable Dedimento, Recountable, Nasumi Matomato, what the Retu to Sukangal, Sonja Tasun to Recount Nahale, Mando.
That's so.
Then Tade Trigger, Gentry Wangi, Guardian with the Tamal with the Tada what did it to what the Sonju Tazun and Chili wars.
So more the Nima dan Dawi, the Dendan Denba Majepa, Jitena.
Nyamadan Dayu said what Nyamadan Dayu said the Marvel, Nyamadan Dayu said Nyamadan Dayu said Dimba, Dumba. Nyamadan Dayu said Lulu, you make it against what the Nyamadan Dawatu to go the Nyamadan Dawatu to get the Jidin can't say to Rosa.
So number 7 is actually contains this entire paragraph. So we're going back again. Number 7 contains all this as follows. The 3 devices for grinding, cutting, and tearing flesh are those of the crushing black line and extremely hot hells, respectively. To be attended by divine women means to be served by goddesses. The pleasures of the deities in the desire realm refers to the deities in the desire realm from the of the 33 and above. Here the light of the sun and the moon is described in terms that are familiar to ordinary people without distinguishing between the support, the palace of the deity, and what is supported, the deity. If you do not distinguish them, then the light is the light of the palaces of the sun and the moon. So here we're explaining within this quote what all of these where all these experiences take place. So it says the desire realm from the heaven of the 33 and above. So when we look at the 6 desire realm gods, the first is the 4 great royal lineages who we aren't able to see. Science can't see them, but the Chenrezig Lama Yinba.
Chenrezig was only at the time of Chenrezig.
Tambo. Chenrezig Sasson.
Okay. And then Sasson was rejected the Nakali.
Lessa. Okay.
Sasson, then Taje Marve. Taje. And then Garden Trigger.
Okay.
What does it do?
So when we look at the desire realm gods, they're in a 6, and there's an order. So the great royal lineages, the 4 great royal lineages, are actually gods who are at the lowest level. And it's said that they abide in the trees and in this forest area, whereas the heaven of the 33 beings abide in the sky above the mountain Meru, above Mount Meru. So they're considered higher. So it's anything above the heaven of the 33. So that's referring to the beings in the heaven of the 33, beings in the land without war, beings in the joyous land, being in the land of controlling one's own emanations, and then beings in the land which controls others' emanations. So these are the 6 desire realm gods, and the heaven of the 33 is the second. So this point excludes the 4 great royal lineages gods, because it's saying anything above the heaven of the 33. That all fits within point number 8, and then point number 9 is a summary of what has been presented. So we have considering all the ways that you can fall from high to low places are as illustrated by these examples. You should be disenchanted with cyclic existence because all of its wonders will collapse in the end. And then we have a quote from the Dolwa, from the basis of discipline. It's stating that you can go from the God's realms in the humans' realms to the lower realms of cyclic existence of the hell, hungry ghost, and animal. And it's saying that these examples have shown you how you go from the high to the low realms, and because you now know this, you should become disenchanted with cyclic existence. Knowing this, you should develop a desire to definitely emerge from these types of experiences that we have again and again. Okay. So the reason for these names these points and names is that the land of the 4 great royal kings or 4 great kings is always at war with those in the heaven of 33. And that's why the next realm is called the land without war, because it's a higher God's realm where this war and these problems aren't taking place. So the demigods, as they're some called in the 4 royal gods realm, are jealous and at war with those higher gods who abide in the space. So we find in the Abhidharma teachings, in the Abhidharma Kosha, where this is presentation of this tree, where these four great royal kings, gods abide. These and at the kind of top branches and so forth. And then the base, the actual tree itself, it's stated that the Nagas abide in there. And then there's a sense of jealousy that these gods have, which are not at the above this tree, where the heaven of 33 realm gods dwell in the space that's above this. And Mount Meru works into this picture as well, where the 33 gods are above. So there's a sense of jealousy that the beings have below the heaven of 33 gods, so they're always at war and fighting. So this is what we find in the text in the Abhidharma. I forgot to say this, but the scientists can't seem to find this place, so they don't assert this, so we have to think about it. Scientists say there's no Mount Meru. But there are tall mountains. So number 9 is really a summary of everything that's been presented. The essence. So a summary of the essence is a summary of the essence of everything that's been presented earlier. So that's number 9. So it starts where I read before. We're going to do it again.
Masa Ryu Tsutanji Sane Toa Namal Mandra and El Hatan Mother Shene Niwata Yeda Tunuluman Jewalaso the Sukusan Tawayina and what the Nayu Saba Yungres Joashate Sibi Pensu Tanji Takubi Dubis Sibi Pensu Tanji Wata and then what the that Talukubik Dunagaris Kubi dubi shirote an doa long les doa long jang doa saba kunji tanze jins ne kazi sa jaba yuna ne jala ta ka mamu kazi sa jaba yin shugo se ne gre zung de gre tumbi na je ta tongwas to ga ma mal tong de sa ta ma tu so niwa de yeda de ne je ya yin jiro tongwa dans chebita Tribita was and the Tribitale and Tenegres. Don't do Jobajinado then and Kushu Tenegrota. Tawade. Swabitan Chos, Swambutale and Tamal Chawangres. Later, Nemo Jene, Swambi Inaya, and the Kujumu to a Shinegrota. She is on Bataros and Dualon, long Giant. So
the summary of the essence contains everything to the end. So it says, considering all the ways you can fall from high to low places, from the gods and humans realms, falling to the lower realms of the hell-hungry ghost and animals, as illustrated by these examples, you should be disenchanted with cyclic existence. You should generate a desire to definitely emerge. You should generate renunciation, because all of its wonders will collapse in the end. All of the excellence, all the excellent things of cyclic existence will end. Then we have a quote from the Vinaya, a basis of discipline, that says, the end of accumulated things is depletion. The end of things that are high is a fall. The end of meetings is a separation. The end of life is death. So the end of accumulated things is depletion. So all of the things that we accumulate will disintegrate. So they are impermanent. So our things deplete no matter what. And then the end of things that are high is a fall. So the beings who are in the higher realms of cyclic existence, when that existence ends, they fall to the lower realms. So those abiding in the those abiding in the God's realms and in the human realms will experience a fall to the lower realms of cyclic existence in the future, to the hell-hungry ghost and animals. And then it says I can't read it all without the partizan. The end of meetings is separation. So all the people that we meet, we get together with, all of our friends, we will have to leave in the end. We will be separated from in the end because we will die. And then we will die or we will separate from them in some other way. And then the last case, it says that the end of life is death. So this life that we currently have will end in death because it has been brought upon by our karma and afflictions. Our karma and afflictions then will cause us to die. So this is the point of the quote from the Vinaya, and this ends number 9.
다 줄 매비 예바 주바 말베 다 동에 주산데 주 매비 예바 때 몸도 주 매비 예바 어디 주바 들어다 주바 차오래 주 매비 예바네 대다 노반주세 소나네 대다 노반주세 소나네 나송마미 나와 러지시 제보 Nyema dayu maziyu mena tayi nado jose lo she songba wosa she songba zhu mebe nyeba lo te se gedwa jose lo she songba wosa ta dene ma wotel jenme jen jeba duwa jeba ta jeba jilu shana nobaran jose ne gondo temba tar 대대의 측고바 쳔반줄라사 어디 지대 잡은지로 저놈 제일 대신 나오도와 대다 노반주세에서 아들 늘 고고래서 다 다만래 대다 노반주세에서 노반주세네 공도 땜바 대대의 측고바 측고바를 고고래서 Chenmo Suanase Nobanjuse Suanase Jindua Suanaji Tawa Suanaji Nawa Jin Sheba Wu Suanaji Tawa Jin Sheba Wu Sa Nobanjuse Ne Kundu Temba Tar Tata Chiguba Chenbanjulas Suanaji Tawa Jinshi Sheba Wu Ale Yadigu Dua Suanajin Hawa Jinshi Sheba Wu Sa Nobanju Se Suana Ne Naba Mami Hawa Rajishi Sote Yadigu Sarwa Suanajin Hawa Jinshi Sheba Wu Suana She Sumba Ne Gusunji Gawa Jimbala Suba Son la course, Tassona Sade, Lujigawa, Nagigawa, and the Hijigawa son le Jana Digres, and the Jimbalishun Sona, Dag Jinsuji Sona, Jimbalishun, Sujin Sona, Gombalishun Sona in the Water Jana Digres, Sona Ji, Hawa Jinshi Jeba, Sona Sone, Gosun Jigawa, Lujigawa, Nagigawa, Hijigawa Jana Digres. Jimba le shonga suba.
Jimba down.
Sanji chudan suji chudan karsa.
Sun kare.
Dagi jinsu jibi so dagi jinsu marebe. Jinsu jimba. Jimba gonsu tone sudan ni gudu. Jimba le shonga gawa, sudan le shonga gawa. Ane wote gomba le shonga ina wote sonji tanga yoro tinsere.
Gomba showi gewa gomba sena gom.
Jimba de jani rasu tenji. Jimba le shonga. Jimba Tsutini Shunga Yere, Nijit Karina, and Gomba Shungaina, what the Sonja, Dag Jinsu Jibisonaje, Rola Pension to what the Tesson inside. So now soon a Gusonji Gawa, Jimba Le Shunga Su, Jesun Mos, Mena Tayebane, Maribemabo, Mena Tayebate. The Conanila Maribada, Lenela Maribala Kogores, Mabos, True Maban Juba, True Maban Juba Zade, True Maban Juba Ne, Shunjule, and then learn the Chibo Shunwaya, Kenji Chibi Sharuta, Shid Susu Jejuna, and Zawa Jenda Jishim, Jin Jibuji Jinjushin, Shina, the Nijishite, Dunga Malena, Gijin the Jishas, Shesum Bataranga, Chuchung, which are taking this one the great. One the Sudan water, true maybe. True Maban Jubi, True Maban Juba and Shunju Leroa. Learn Jibus, and then I told my children to be Susijibi or Madunyadu Yomarami Druna, Drobu Jenda Yomaro. Jin Jibichi, Shena, and Jishi, she do Jibishan Nyandu Ribicha Yomaro. Ah, don't get Gijin Malena Gijin Zajuchas, what the Shunju not drowned in Bare. Ah, Shunju learn the Jibo. Shungayang, Kenji Jibi Sharuda, Jidu as Jibuji, Sharuda Jede, Susu Jejuna, Shine, Shadow Rebakingolo, and the Mabachana, Jejuna, and then Zao Jenda Jishi Mercer, Drobujenda, Tell Maris, Jena Jibuji Jushin, Shana, and Jishin, Jidu Jibuji, Shidu and Aro Jibushi. Nyandu Rubutre Maris, Dunga Kijan Malena, and then Susu Trubus Titan in the Susu Dunga Kusha Jana, and then Shika Nyagin Sa Yomaris, Dunga Kijan Malena, and then Geshe in the Trubus Karchi Wars. Shesum Bataro Osa. What that about the Lord, truth and true soon to do and then Redua. What about the college Judah?
Hey, Jayan Sheba, God said do it.
Goba the Nebuduba.
No, the Jayan Sheba, the Dumyal Drupa.
True, maybe about the Yomare.
Okay, so there isn't anything in number 6 as far as categories go for in Jayan Sheba's. So number 6 is the fault of having no companion. So we'll read through it, and Rinpoche gave commentary the whole time. So we have a quote from Nagarjuna's friendly letter. In this way you will come to grief. Therefore take light from the lamp of the 3 types of merit. Otherwise you will go alone into endless darkness that neither sun nor moon can penetrate. You will come to grief means know that you must die, as I have indicated before, and take the light of merit. The 3 types of merit refers either to physical, verbal, and mental virtue, or to the 3 foundations from which merit arises, generosity and so on. Endless darkness refers to the darkness of ignorance. So it can either mean virtues that we can create from our body, speech, and mind, or it can speak of it says the 3 foundations from which merit arises. So Rinpoche said generosity, aspiration, and ethics. And so endless darkness refers to the darkness of ignorance. So we have ignorance of karma and its results, and ignorance of the nature of reality. This causes our darkness, to a lack of understanding. And then we have a famous quote. It says, in regard to having no companions, engaging in the Bodhisattva deeds says. So in Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, it says, this body comes forth whole, yet the bones and flesh that accompany it will break apart and disperse. As this is so, why mention others such as loved ones? You are born alone, you also die alone. As others cannot share your suffering, what use is the hindrance of loved ones? So recognizing that even though when the body is here, it's all in one piece, in the future it will disperse. The bones and flesh and everything will break apart, and one will die in the future. So if our own condition is like this, it says, why mention others such as our loved ones? So the people that we love will have the same exact experience. And when we are born, there is no one who can take that suffering from us. And when we are dying, there's no one who can accompany us during that time. We have to die. We ourselves are the only ones who can experience that death. And no one can experience it with us. We can't bring anyone with us. It says, as others cannot share your suffering. So the actual suffering that we're experiencing can't be shared by someone else. And as a note, it's not meaning that others aren't suffering. It's meaning the suffering that we're experiencing can't be shared. they can't help us with it. They can't take some of it away. It is our own. And it says then, of what use is the hindrance of loved ones? If we recognize this, then we have a more realistic understanding of what our loved ones are and what their nature is and potential is. So they have this nature. Our loved ones will die as we will, and we can't help them while they're dying, and they can't help us while we're dying. So that's the point of Shantideva's quote. And the Tsar.
다 동의지 사투 투비시 산들다
The Kashe Yurde.
다 트로송도 뒤지 다 되는마때 때서 참아서
Lessa.
네 트로바든 가서 어때 제마테 시에는 뭐 트로송도 뒤지 들는가 뭐도
Lessa.
어때 제마시에는 어떤 사서 말에
Lessa. So today we'll end. We've gone through pretty much all 6 types of suffering. There's a little bit left in this section that we have to go over, and we don't have enough time today, so we're going to table it till the next teaching. But we've mostly gone through the 6, so we've now gone through the 8 and the 6, and we'll finish up next class these points that are made about the 6, that summarize the 6. So with that, we'll end, and we'll do the concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. And thank you, everyone, for coming. I have a book somewhere. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers. Adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Lobsang Drakpa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Yatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of spiritual and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance.
야